Peace, family. This is your brother, Mr. Holipsism. I'm here to review World War Z. Um, a few movies that I've seen recently. I haven't had a chance to do a review on them, so I'm sorry if these are coming in a little bit late, but I just want to give my thoughts and opinions on it. Um, World War Z, of course, stars Brad Pitt, and a reviewer recently said that Brad Pitt was catnip for women, and I just thought that was funny. Um, anyway, World War Z. Now, first thing I have to say is, if you've read World War Z, the book or the graphic novel series or whatever, um, you're gonna probably, if you and especially if you're a book loyalist, you're gonna definitely hate this movie because the only thing that it shares with the books is the title. Um, the way that the books were written was like in a journal type format where you're going over the journals of people who's going through these experiences and stuff like that. So it's like from multiple points of views. Um, the movie doesn't do it this way, and the movie actually, I mean, the short version is I like the movie, and I've read the book too. But I kind of disconnected the book from the movie, and I tend to do that because a lot of people are loyalists to the source material, and sometimes the source material just doesn't translate, and I believe that was the reason why they had to reshoot World War Z because that was the big thing in Hollywood. They thought this movie was going to be a disaster because they said they had to reshoot like I think 60% of the movie because they didn't like the ending and they didn't like the direction in which it was going. So they did a major reshoot to put this back out. And so people thought, just assumed it was going to be a disaster, but actually, as it turns out, it's a pretty effective movie for what it does. I mean, the movie starts off with Brad Pitt and his family, and I'm calling him Brad Pitt like that was his name in the movie, but you know what I'm saying, the character that he plays. Um, and they're caught up in traffic. You've probably seen this on the previews, and shit just starts going haywire. And so there's a scene where they see people are being attacked. They don't quite know what's going on. But Brad Pitt is one of these guys who's sort of like the Liam Neeson character that nobody quite knows what he does, but they just know that he's really good at it. Like he's one of these guys that was sent out into the field, and he has a lot of history and a lot of stuff and a lot of backstory that they infer at, but they don't quite tell you. But one thing that you know is that he just seems to be the guy that you go to in the field. So he notices that one of the guys gets bitten by the people and he starts transforming. So he starts counting down how long it takes for the guy to turn. And it takes about 10 to 12 seconds. And the thing about it is, these zombies in this movie are like a plague. Like they're not zombies in the traditional sense where they're there to eat brains or to devour the people. Their job is to infect you and keep it moving. That's their job, to find a host to infect and then move on to the next person. So if you get bitten, let's say a person gets bitten in a room or in a stadium or a concert hall or something, the turnaround that it would take for everybody to get in there to be infected is exponential. So that's the reason why you see in the previews you see hordes of zombies because it doesn't take long. Once they get into a certain area, they infect the entire area and they just keep expanding and going out and trying to infect new hosts. Um, the first half of the movie was very tense, very exciting, and the second half was very tense and exciting, but in a different way. It wasn't as over the top, like there's the big scene that everybody's seen already where the zombies are piling on top of each other to get over a wall. And that whole sequence and the airplane sequence, all of that stuff was done very well, very exciting. Um, The way that it was filmed, the way that the action sequences was set up was very effective. I mean, like I walked out of the movie remembering certain action scenes, and usually when it comes to action scenes or sequences, it's like eye candy. It looks real good, but then after it's over, you're like, oh, whatever. You don't remember what you just saw. But I remember World War Z. I remember the scenes. I remember how the shots were placed, and it was very effective. Brad Pitt's character, I mean, was what he needed to be. It wasn't one of those situations where, um, in a zombie movie, I mean, you're not going to really get much in terms of character development. So he did what he was supposed to. And the basic theme was he went and did what he did because for the safety of his family. Because when he first was picked up by the army and his friend who worked, I think he was like in the Secretary of Defense, or he worked somewhere in those lines. He picked him up and picked up his family. And the general, once he found out who Brad Pitt was, he wanted him to go out and find out the cure and find out what was going on. So he had to leave his family, and he didn't want to do that. So basically, to get him to do it, he said, "Well, this is only essential personnel that's here. If you're not going to do anything, then there's no reason for you to be here or your family." So basically, he threatened to get rid of the family or put the family out of the secure place if he didn't do what he had to do, and that's the reason why he did it. And once he started, he got into it, and he eventually, found out the chink in the armor of the zombies. I would recommend seeing this movie. It's one of the best movies I've seen this year. It's smart. It's not mindless action. It's smart. It's a smart film, and it's smart filmmaking, and it's smart action. It's like, um, unlike, and I don't want to put this in a negative. Fast Six was just over the top, ridiculous fun. You know what I mean? It was very good for what it was. It didn't apologize for what it was, and it was very effective. This movie, on the other hand, is a bit more thoughtful. The tone is a lot more serious, but the action is still, is up to par with all of the action sequences and all the action films that I've seen this summer. And at the end of the day, I think that when this movie is over, you'll have a satisfying experience. So this is definitely one that I would recommend. And that's really all I have to say about this one. I have a few more reviews coming, so be on the lookout because I got to do my catching up. And I'll try to do these things more sooner, when the movie actually comes out. But I'm trying. You know what I'm saying? I have limited time based on the stuff that I'm doing, but I'm definitely trying to get these reviews in and help my people out so they'll know how to spend their money. Oh, another thing. It is not necessary that you see it in 3D. Really. I mean, you can see this movie in 2D and you'll be perfectly fine. It has some 3D um, aspects to it, but not enough to me to justify spending the money, to be honest with you. And I don't think that if you did not see let's say the plane crash or the zombies going over the wall or the other sequences in the beginning without, if you saw that without the 3D, would it take away from the scene? Absolutely not. So you can save some money and not get it in 3D. If you want to see it in 3D, fine. But at times I felt like while I was watching it in 3D, why do I have these glasses on? Because it didn't seem as if the depth of field was utilized enough to justify the 3D price. So that's my only complaint about that. But you can definitely see it in 2D, and hope you enjoy it. And I will holler at you good people later. Peace.